Thank you. Thank you. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Just checking, just checking. Got to get a level. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me here. And do yourselves a favor, give yourselves a big round of applause for being here, okay? I want you all to do me a favor. I want you to all relax, to enter into my world for this next hour, and allow yourself to laugh and to absorb the message. What you're going to be experiencing here today, folks, is not brain surgery at all, okay? It's brain adjustment. I'm going to be offering you what I call common sense success strategies that will not only help you to become the leader that you really want to be, not just in your business, but in your life. And to me, that's the ultimate success. You're looking at someone who was voted least likely to succeed in his senior class in high school. And thanks for laughing. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also in 8th grade, I was told by a guidance counselor right in front of my mom and dad that I wasn't smart enough to go to college. And yes, they were wrong. And I thought it was a big joke then. And I realized as I got older, it was that type of negative labeling that molded the direction for most of my life. It instilled a lot of fear, a lot of negative beliefs, a lot of labels that just held me back from trying. And I decided one day that I was going to go on a quest to better myself. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I must have read every self-help book that you could think of, success books, inspirational books. I went to Tony Robbins seminars. I did it all. I fell asleep with headphones on my head to program my subconscious with positive affirmations. And through the years, I went out of my mind. No, through the years, I noticed a major shift started taking place within me. My attitude was changing, and my belief system was absolutely incredible. And it was because of these strategies that I turned my life around. So these strategies, and I'm not going to be able to give you all of them. I'm going to be giving you some of them. But these are the ones that helped me to turn my life around. And one of the strategies we're going to be going over here today, and I think it's crucial, especially for leadership of any kind, is for you to unleash the power of your humor being on a daily basis. Now, everyone in this room has a humor being within them, everyone. Your humor being is of your higher self. It is the part of you that brings out the best in you when times get really tough. What your humor being can give you more than anything else is emotional stability. Now, you know the responsibilities that you folks have day in and day out. Humor has a way of nipping negative thought patterns in the bud before emotional havoc blossoms. So do me a favor, follow me on this story that took place in the middle of my comedy career. This is a true story on how my humor being came to the rescue and turned a totally stressful situation into the ultimate success story. I was in New York City. I had a rental car that kept breaking down. Well, wait, before I even get into this, not only did it help me to create this attitude and help me to feel better, and it led to this ultimate success story, it also bonded two people together. Two people from two completely different parts of the world. Me being from Brooklyn, New York, in case you didn't figure that out, and another guy who was from India. And it's how laughter brought us together and helped us to deal with this situation. So I was in New York City. I had a rental car that kept breaking down. It was 98 degrees. Air conditioning isn't working. Sweat is pouring down my face. And it seemed like I was in the world's biggest traffic jam. The car keeps stalling out. New Yorkers are cursing at me. It's not a very secure feeling. And to make it all worse, I'm already a half hour late for a very important audition. Now I'm feeling this snowball of negativity building up, and I'm like, oh man, what else could possibly happen? Don't ever ask that question. You see, because if you do, the universe will answer you. And I really did say to myself, I really did. I said, oh man, what else could possibly happen? And the universe answered me. I drive up to the toll booth, and I went to pay the guy, and I realized I didn't have any money. I left my money home. I don't know what possessed me. I really thought I was going to snap because I was in such a negative zone. And I don't know why I did this. I just looked at the guy in the booth and I said, hey, I'll have a couple of burgers, 2 fries, and get something for yourself there, Sparky. This guy has a big grin on his face and he says, would you like me to supersize those fries, my friend? And all of a sudden, I started smiling. I said, yeah, that would be a great idea. And he goes, oh, yes, indeed. I'm hungry myself, but unfortunately, we do not have food here. I said, well, then you better get it because you're holding up traffic. Now we're both laughing. But all the cars in back of me, they're beeping the horns, they're cursing at each other, they're going crazy. This is when my newfound friend in the toll booth sticks his head out of the booth, motions to all of the other cars and says, "I'm very sorry, but we ran out of food. Try the next booth. Try the next booth." By then, we were hysterical. We were high-fiving each other. We became best friends in 30 seconds. You want to know what the coolest thing was? He let me go without paying. This guy was precious. This is what he said to me. He looks at me and goes, "Listen to me, my friend. It looks like you're having a very tough day. But don't you worry. This toll is on me. And do not argue with me. You need to understand that I am brand new in this country. And this is only my second day on the job. And believe me when I tell you I really needed to laugh today." I know. And I looked at him and I said, "So did I." Folks, here's the point. I drove away from that toll booth in a totally different state of mind. Totally different state of mind. And as a result, I was able to plant positive thoughts in my head, constructive ways on how I can deal with this important audition that I had coming up. I was even visualizing how I was going to do in this audition. And guess what? I had a great audition. And it's a good thing I did because it led to the most important break in my comedy career. That's how I got my very first TV special, my Showtime special. And that special paved the way for every other TV appearance that I've ever made. So let me ask you this question. What do you think would have happened if I would have gone into that audition in the mood that I was in before the toll booth incident? I wouldn't have had a chance. Not in the mood that I was in. Really, not in the mood that I was in. And I tried everything in my power to turn that around, but nothing was working. And it's the weirdest thing. It was only years later when I reflected back on this situation, and I said to myself, what was it that turned it around? And I realized it's only when I started laughing. And I started delving into this, and I said, why is it only when I laughed was I able to turn it around? Here's the psychology behind this. When you allow yourself to laugh in the midst of a very stressful situation, your brain is no longer focusing on that stressful situation because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Your brain is now somewhere else. It's laughing at something ridiculous that you just did. And even if it does go back to that stressful situation, it won't be as overwhelming as it was before. Why? Because you've calmed your nervous system down to the point where you are now in control of the situation rather than having that situation control you. It's a crucial common sense success strategy for leaders today, especially with the stuff that we are being bombarded with. It shifts your attitude. I guess it's because maybe I was just raised with a sense of humor. My mom and dad passed away years ago, but my dad would quite often just pull us aside, especially me. He'd go, "Stevie, look at me. Look at me when I talk to you," which I never understood. I don't know why parents do that. Look at me when I talk to you. Like looking at him is going to make me hear better, you know? It's like, one time he said, "Look at me when I talk to you," and I got up and I walked away. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm getting my glasses. I want to make sure I hear everything you have to say." And then he would tell me, he'd say, "Stevie, you have to be proud of who you are. You have to be proud of where you're from. You have to be proud of what you do for a living, and always remember this, you need a sense of humor about all three." My dad was a great man. My dad was a psychologist. Not licensed. Folks, believe me, not licensed. Self-appointed, like every other father. He always walked around and he always thought he knew the answer to everything, and he also thought he was king of the house. I was raised in a very tough neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, and when we were teenagers, we were getting in trouble, and my dad really just laid the law down, and I'm glad he did. Does anybody remember hearing anything like this when you were living home with your parents, especially from your father? "You're living in my house. All right, tough guy, you're living in my house, you're living under my roof, I pay the bills, you do what I tell you to do as long as you're living in my house. You're sitting in my chair. You, get your butt out there and mow the lawn." "Why, it ain't my lawn." "There, now you're a part of the lawn. What do you think about that?" And of course, I couldn't keep my mouth closed, and I know you're thinking, shocker. My brothers would always tell me, "Shut up, keep your mouth closed, don't say anything." Great advice, but I had a problem. When I was being reprimanded by my parents, if there was a punchline there, I was going to say it, and I didn't care about the repercussions. I'm serious. Most trouble I ever got in with my dad was the first and last time I ever lied to him. And he looked at me, and he was angry. He said, "What kind of idiot do you think I am?" My brothers go, "No, no." I looked at him, I said, "Well, Pop, what are the categories?" My brothers are like, "I told you you shouldn't have said anything." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that was worth it. Did you hear that? Write that down." Couldn't keep my mouth closed. I used to love when my mother would get upset with me. Man, because you could always have fun with Mom. You know, there were times when she would be so upset, and my brothers and I, we could hear her yelling at us from one end of the house, "And don't make me repeat myself." And I go, "What?" And what would she do? "You heard me, young man. I said, don't make me repeat myself." And I go, "What?" And this would go on for hours. And I'm looking at my brothers, what is wrong with this poor woman? And one of the things my mom used to say to me, and I bet you a lot of people in this room heard this, if you're going to go outside, don't forget to put on clean underwear. How many people have heard that? Raise your hand, please. And what was the reasoning behind it?
Well, in case something happens.
In case you get into an accident. Listen to her like it's logical. Well, of course. Well, of course, what does the matter with you in case you get into an accident? Like that's the only thing you care about? Like you're going to be running into the ER and the doctor's going to go, he's okay, I don't care about that. How's his underwear? That's what I want to know. Because that's all she cared about. And she would tell me, if you're going to go outside, don't forget to put on clean underwear in case you get hit by a car. I'm like, Mom, think about this. If I go outside and I see a car coming at me, my underwear's not going to be clean anyway. My mom had a sense of humor till the day she left this planet. And I'll never forget, a couple of months before she passed away, my dad and I had to take her to the doctor's office to find out what the results were for some tests that were taken. And we knew it wasn't going to be positive at all. So as you can imagine, that's a stressful situation. And we get to the doctor's office and the place is packed and that's adding more stress. We know we're gonna have to wait there at least an hour. And my mom, unknowingly, is sitting on a magazine, okay? And the edge of the magazine is sticking out. And this guy walks by and says, oh, excuse me, ma'am, are you reading that? So my father gives me a nudge and says, let the show begin. Without missing a beat, my mom stands up, looks up at the guy, looks back down at the magazine, turns the page, sits back down, looks up at the guy and says, I have one page left. Everyone started laughing. Do you see how much better you feel right now that you're laughing? Do you see? You feel better, don't you, that you're laughing? Am I right? This is my point. Why don't we do this more often? Why don't we do this more often? It shifts your attitude, and that's what I do for a living. I have a nickname in this business called the Attitude Adjuster. And what I'm going to be showing you here today for the rest of the time I'm up here is how to start your day with an unstoppable attitude to succeed, how to keep that motivation going throughout the day, every day. And here's the key, especially for leadership, especially for anyone that wants to be a leader, someone who is in charge, regardless of your circumstances. That's the key phrase. Because let's face it, we all know that it's easy to start your day off in a great mood and to get motivated if everything's going the way that you want. Am I right? I mean, where's the challenge? No challenge there at all. But what happens if life is throwing stuff at you? What if you're having a bad day? What if things are really going wrong? What's your attitude like then? What is your attitude like that? What do you do? Does anyone know what the key is to starting your day with an unstoppable attitude? Folks, here's the key. Here's the keys to starting your day with an unstoppable attitude and how to keep the motivation going throughout the day, every day, regardless of your circumstances. It's making sure that you are feeling good during the process of whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. Now, as simple as that may sound, it is a major key to success. Why? Because feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation. You should remember that when you get home, write it down and slap it on your refrigerator and put it on your desk at work. I'll say it again. Feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation. Guess what? That's your choice and your responsibility. Think about it. It is absolutely impossible to stay motivated throughout the day if you are harboring negative emotions or if you have a bad attitude during the process. The number one reason people consistently fail in business, the reason why any one of you may be having a difficult time achieving a particular goal on any given day, it's not because you're not smart enough, and it's not because of the challenge. It's because somewhere along the way, positive momentum ceases. Usually without the individual realizing what's happening. And do you want to know why positive momentum ceases? It's because the individual is focusing all of their energy on what isn't working. They're wallowing so much in the problem that they're not leaving any room at all in that brain of theirs for positive thoughts to seep through so that they can come up with healthier alternatives and deal with the next challenge that will inevitably follow, maybe even moments later. Again, feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation. I want to go back just a couple of sentences that I just said here previously. I want to go back to this. When I said allowing positive thoughts to seep through, that is where it all starts. The thoughts that you have about any challenge in your life will ultimately determine the quality of success and happiness you will have in regards to that challenge. Contrary to what most people may think, and some people can jump right now and argue with me, but you would lose the argument. Contrary to what most people may think in this room, it is not the situation, it's not the circumstance, it's not the event, even as severe as it may be. It's not those things that will determine your quality of success and happiness. It's really how you think about it is what really will determine how successful and how happy you're going to be, the outcome. Why? Because your thoughts have the incredible power to either minimize or maximize the effect that that challenge has on you. I want you to follow me on this, because it's not your thoughts in and of themselves that gives them great power. It's what your thoughts create is what gives them great power. Your thoughts formulate the beliefs you have about that challenge. Did anyone here ever think about where your beliefs came from? The beliefs that we all have, that were bestowed upon us, or that we somehow kept for ourselves and became a part of who we are? We go through the course of our lives and we don't even know why we have these beliefs. The beliefs that you have about anything in your life, be it race, religion, sex, education, politics, your business, the people that work for you, the beliefs you have about your family, the beliefs you formulated about me in the short period of time that I've been up here, the beliefs that you have about anything in your life are formulated over a period of time through a consistent way of thinking. Your thoughts create your beliefs write the story of your life. So if you have these negative thoughts and you're going on a negative rampage when you're confronted with a challenge and your mind is getting all confused, you are solidifying or creating a belief system that's not going to be conducive to having a healthy outcome. You're entering into the negative zone. And once you enter into that negative zone, what happens then is that those beliefs are causing you to feel a certain way. And if you don't feel right, it's almost impossible to stay motivated. Why? Because feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation. Now, I know you're looking at me right now and you're saying, well, gee, Steve, okay, I guess that makes sense, you know. Feeling good is the fuel of motivation. It starts with your thoughts. But you know what, Steve? Take a look around here. There are a lot of people in this room might be having some really intense problems at home. You know, maybe some people are going through a divorce. Maybe they're having financial difficulties. Maybe there's health issues in the family. You know what, Steve? It's very difficult not to take those problems to the workplace. And if they do, it's going to affect creativity and productivity. And vice versa, Steve. There are people in this room that might be having some tough times at work. And it's very difficult not to take those challenges back at home. And if they do, it's going to affect their home life. And guess what, Steve? Same thing happens. They go back to sleep. They wake up the next morning. Same vicious cycle over and over again. So you tell me, Steve Rizzo, how people are supposed to maintain a healthy state of mind, feel good during the process when they are being bombarded with this stuff day in and day out. Drugs. I'm selling product in the back of the room later on. Some people are going, I told you. I'm kidding, of course. I get asked that question quite often, and sometimes with really people who are very emotionally upset. Those are the ones that are having some major problems. How do you expect me? I get that in my workshops sometimes, and I expect it. I know it's going to happen. How do you expect me to feel good? When? How can I feel good when this happens and this happened to me? How do I do that? I'm going to give you the answers to this now. This is how you can pretty much start your day off in a good mood, to feel good, to feel better at least, even if you're going through some trying times. And I want you to get this, because this is a very important common sense success strategy. It starts as soon as you open up your eyes to greet the day, okay? As soon as you open up your eyes to greet the day, you enter into consciousness. It is at that very moment that your creativity is at its most powerful. As soon as you open up your eyes, before you take the covers off, you have an incredible opportunity right there to steer your thoughts and your emotions in the direction that you want them to go, not in the direction that they are so often telling you to go. And as leaders, you need to know this, because what I'm saying here is that you could really choose to seize the day, or you can let the day seize you. I think we can all agree that way too many people today, more than ever, are starting their days off in low moods at best. And you know what the danger is? They're not even aware of what's happening to them. It's become a part of who they are. It's their personality. You've seen them. They come into your job. Maybe you're one of them. I don't know. And it's all because as soon as they open up their eyes, what do? They start thinking about the grueling day that they had the day before, the irate people that they had to deal with, all the things that didn't turn out the way they wanted it to turn out. Man, I know people, first thing in the morning, They open up their eyes, they didn't even take the covers off. And what's the first thing they do? They lean over to their nightstand, grab their iPhone, and they start looking at all of the messages that they believe they need to answer before they even leave the house. That is absolutely insane. And then they start thinking about the things that have to be done on that day, and they can't understand why. As soon as they're walking into work, their energy level is down here. Think of your responsibilities. As leaders, think of your responsibilities. Man, your energy level has to be cranked. That's your choice. That's your responsibility. So what I'm asking you to do is to get your shift together. That's what I'm asking you to do. To get your shift together. In other words, rather than waking up in the morning and focusing immediately on all the stuff that's not working in your life and all the things that have to be done, I want you to shift your focus and your way of thinking to the things that are working in your life, to the things that bring you joy, to the things that ignite your spirit, to the things that give you confidence. Your only goal when you open up your eyes, your first goal before you even take the covers off, is to give yourself enough confidence and enough joy to get through the day. What I'm asking you to do here, people, is to create an attitude of gratitude. And I don't care who it is or what it is that you're thinking about. Maybe you're thinking about the person next to you. Maybe you're thinking of your children. Maybe you're thinking of your grandchildren. Maybe you're thinking of the dog lying by the side of your bed. Maybe you're thinking of the wonderful home that you live in, the wonderful community that you live in. Maybe you're having people over for a football game on a Sunday. Maybe you're going out with friends for lunch during the afternoon and you're really psyched about that. Maybe somebody gave you a compliment the day before. See, it doesn't matter what it is. We can all, regardless of what you're going through in your life at this point, we can all think of something to at least put a smile on our face, to make us feel better. That's the goal, to feel better. We all can think of that. And when you find that something, you hold on to it, then you think of something else. If you do this for 3 weeks, every morning, you will have created a habit. And what a positive habit to have. We have gone, most of us, through the course of our lives. I know because I was one of these people. We go through the course of our lives, no matter how much we have, we keep thinking we need more. We keep thinking about what else has to be done. Don't think about what has to be done. Think about who you have to be in order to get it done. We could all do these little things to shift our minds around, and we take that attitude with us throughout the day. Why do I want you to do this? Because an attitude of gratitude simply makes you feel good. Try it. Whenever you're feeling like life is stressing you out, we all get there, we all do it, I go it, I fly 300,000 miles a year. Believe me, there's stress. Sometimes I think one day you're going to read in the paper, a motivational speaker snaps an airport. It's going to happen. But we go through these stressful situations. What's the first thing we try to do when we're confronted with a major challenge? You try to deal with it right away, and you get more stressed out because your brain is too boggled with negativity. You're whining and you're thinking about what's wrong instead of thinking what could be done to fix it. So instead of trying to tackle the problem, allow yourself to get up, walk away from the problem, temporarily. Just walk away. Anywhere. Maybe you could pick up your iPhone and dial the phone and you could hear that special voice of that special someone that is going to soothe your very soul. Maybe you can get your iPhone and look at photos of a particular occasion that just happened, maybe at the beach or, at a party or an anniversary, whatever it was, and you're seeing people smiling and laughing. We could all find something to calm us down, sometimes a little walk around the office. And you know what's going to happen when you do that? Then you go back to that situation that's causing you stress and you're going to realize something. It's not as overwhelming as you thought it was. And don't be surprised if you come up with a solution a lot faster. You know what else can make you feel good first thing in the morning? See the humor and the laughter around you. It is everywhere. In the morning, and turn your humor being loose. That's what I'm asking you to do. Unleash the power of your humor being first in the morning. Folks, if you say you can't find something to laugh at when you wake up in the morning, you're not looking. You want something real funny to laugh at? Look at yourself first thing in the morning. Seriously, do this. Don't even get dressed. Look into a full-length mirror, butt crack naked, and go, I'm ready to go. I'm going to show them that I'm a leader. That's what I'm doing. How many married people are in the audience? Married people? Oh, come on, there's humor there. Is there not? Are you kidding me? As a matter of fact, I think a sense of humor is a key to a healthy marriage, don't you? Oh, but if you were to read Oprah magazine, And if you were to read Cosmopolitan magazine, they would tell you that the key to a healthy marriage is to simply understand your partner. Are you kidding me? Folks, have you ever tried to understand your partner? You will never, ever, ever be able to understand your partner. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. The only thing that you have to understand about your partner is that there are things about your partner that you will never understand. And if you can understand that, you will have a better understanding. Do you understand? Folks, I've been married to my wife for over 30 years. Till this day, I cannot understand why I have to get in trouble for dreams that she has. Guys, you know what I'm talking about? Clap your hands if you know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. You know, it's a beautiful Sunday morning. You wake up and you go, good morning. Don't good morning me. Well, what's wrong? Oh, you want to know what's wrong? Okay, I'll tell you what's wrong. I had a dream that you had an affair with another woman. Guys, believe me, your response should never be, really? What'd she look like? Nah, I just want to know if it's the same dream I've been having, that's all. Do me a favor, go back to sleep and get an email address or something. I'm kidding. Come on, it's there. You know what's great about a couple? Married, whether you're married or you're living with someone, it doesn't matter. The greatest thing is that the arguments that you have, and you have no idea why you're arguing. You just do. And the reason why we don't know why we're arguing, at least this is true for me, and I'm sure a lot of guys might agree, my wife will never tell me what's wrong. You know something's wrong because you can cut the negativity with a knife. You can tell. Words don't come out of her mouth. If I ask her, I'll say, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. Guys, you know what that means? That means you're screwed. That's what it means. You sure everything's all right? Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Mm-hmm. You positive? Oh, yeah, sure. Look, I really want to have a good day today. Come on. Oh, yeah, don't worry. We won't ruin your day. God forbid that should happen. Oh, yeah, well, I guess I'll have to make sure that you have a good time. So you don't know what to do. So then you ask one more time, are you sure everything's all right? Yes, I'm fine. Everything's fine. So you go to walk away, and as you're walking away, what do you hear? You really don't care, do you? Well, I do care. That's why I'm asking you. Just tell me what it is. And guys, don't do what I do. Don't do this. Don't guess what you think it is, because then you're telling her crap that she didn't even know about. And that's when the real fight starts. How many people have children? Children? Grandchildren? Raise your hands high. Let me see. Oh, come on. Why are we not experiencing this? Children are the funniest people on the face of the planet. Start that off first thing in the morning. I know a lot of you have to get to work and you want to get your little kids out because you love them. You really do. But you just want to get these little people out of the house. Good. Did you eat? Good. I don't care if you didn't finish. Get out. Eat lunch later. Because you have to do things. But by doing that, we're bypassing some really funny stuff, and you'll never have that moment again. You've got to observe them. They are the funniest people on the planet, except for preteens. Preteens are the most frightening category. Oh, I'm serious. Something should be done. Something's got to be done. How many parents of preteens in the audience? You know what I'm talking about, right? Preteens are like like homeless people. I'm serious. You hear them. You actually hear them walking around the entire household, mumbling to themselves. I didn't even do nothing. Every time something goes wrong, I got to get in trouble all the time. This place is worse than living in a prison. You're probably not my real mother and father anyway. You can't be my mother and father. No way you could be my mother. And you look at them, you say, what are you saying? Nothing. God can't even breathe, right? And I hate that look. That is a condescending look. They're looking at you like you are a blithering idiot in their eyes. And God forbid you should come up to them when they're with their friends to say hi. How you doing? Oh, God, what's he doing here now? It's going to embarrass me. I just know he's going to embarrass me. Watch them. Watch little kids. Little kids are real fun. I'm talking 7-year-olds. When they start whining, whew, you see them in supermarkets. Did you ever watch them? They're crazy. They're crazy little people, little kids. Especially when they don't get what they want. And you actually see them whining, and they start yanking on their own clothes. You don't give me nothing every time I ever do anything. I don't even know why you don't do that. What is that? Thank God we grow out of that. Maybe not. Maybe that's the attitude we need today, right? Think about it. Trying to get a raise from your boss. You don't give me nothing. I'm serious. I'm running away from work. This place got cooties, and you suck. Boss is yelling at you on the way out, and you're going, I can't hear you, I can't hear you, Watch how your kids grow up to be just like you. My son, Thinks he's a comedian. Now, he's funny, and he's a lot older now, but when he was in elementary school, he was making people laugh, but he didn't know when to stop him. We had a problem. It was a serious problem. He kept thinking he was on stage performing. One time he came home from school. He said, "Hey, how was school?" He said, "Good crowd, good crowd." I said, "Hey, don't get smart with me." He said, "Whoa, don't worry. I don't want to confuse you." He even does impressions. It's true, these are all true stories. First day of school, the teacher said, "So, young man, what's your name?" And he went, "Well, what's it to you, lady?" The teacher gave me a call. "Mr. Rizzo, we have a problem. For some reason, your son thinks he's Jack Nicholson." And I'm like, "What the hell you want me to do?" See, if you laugh, if you ever wanted to know what Nicholson sounded like as a little kid, if you would have talked to my son when he was younger, you would say, "Oh man, this is exactly what Nicholson would sound like." And years ago, I was asked to do some voiceover work for a Jack Nicholson movie that was aired on TV. Now, voiceover work means that they want to take the movie version and they want to put it on network television, but in order to do that, they have to cut the profanity out. So what do? They hire someone who can do the voice of the actor. They take the curse word out, and they dub it in with another word. You've seen it. It looks stupid. You know the person's cursing. Why they don't leave it alone is beyond me. But it's good money. If you get that job, you get a lot of money for doing this. So for 3 weeks, I'm walking around my house, and I'm walking the dog like Jack. I'm working out like Jack. And after a couple of days, my son, Sean, is following me around, and he's doing little Jack, and he's walking, and he's talking just like Jack. "Hey, Jack, pals, you want to go to lunch and have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?" And I'm going, "I'd love it." And the whole family hated it. But I thought it was brilliant, and I just kept kissing the kid, and maybe that's why he kept doing it, because he did a great Jack. And I thought it was brilliant until the day I took him out for his birthday. And we had all his friends. We went to a restaurant, and they got all the food, everything they wanted, a lot of people there. And then the waitresses come out with their favorite dessert. Every kid got the dessert that they ordered, and the waitress puts the big dessert in front of my son's face, but she gave him a spoon that was unusually large. It was really big. My son was a small kid, and he's checking this spoon out. And I see the Jack thing going, and I know he's going to say something, and my wife is looking at me going, "Oh." And I know he's going to say something. I just don't know what it's going to be and when it's going to come out. So as the waitress is walking away, she stops and she says, "Can I get anybody anything else?" Without missing a beat, my son stands up. He holds up the spoon and goes, "Lady, why don't you just give me a damn shovel?" You ever reprimand a kid as you're reprimanding him, you're telling him it's not funny as you're laughing at the same time? Because you know what he did was wrong. See, and I'm trying to reprimand him. The father in me is like, this is not right, but the comedian in me going, this kid's brilliant. My point, I take this stuff with me when I'm on the road. I don't let this stuff go. I don't take it lightly. We all have humor beings. There is so much funny stuff out there, and I find it everywhere. I work out almost every single day, and as I said, I observe people, and sometimes I'm in different parts in the world, and I don't care what gym I'm at least once a week, every gym has a butt crack guy. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's never a woman, it's always a guy. And this is the guy that walks in, and he's got these baggy sweats, and everything's fine until he bends over. As soon as he bends over, it's like, whoop, there it is, whoop. And and I'm looking at this thing, and I want to get my Amex card and just swipe it, and it's just, that's funny, it's declined. What the heck's happening over here? There are funny, hey, look, even if you don't work out, you want to have a good time, just go to a gym. Just hang out there. How many people work out? Raise your hand. Am I right, though? There are a lot of funny people in there, and they don't even know what they're doing. There's a guy in my gym back home. He's a real bodybuilder. This guy's huge. I mean, he's huge. And he's got these muscles, and he zones out. He puts his headphones on, and he's got this really heavy rock music going. And so he can't hear anybody, and he's not paying attention. He never talks to anyone. And every time he lifts weights, whether he's bench pressing or he's curling, not kidding, he sounds exactly like the lion from The Wizard of Oz. Okay? And you could see him. He's actually lifting the weights going. He goes. And when he bench presses, every time he bench presses, everyone looks at me because I get in back of him. He has no idea what I'm doing. So he's bench pressing and he's going, right? And I'm in the back of him going, I don't want to lift that weight. I'm going to hurt myself. He has no idea what I'm doing to this day. That's how I have fun. Laughter can not only help you to feel good. Getting in tune with your human being will not only help you to feel good, it will help you to enjoy the process. If feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation, then enjoyment shifts motivation into high gear. And unfortunately today, especially with people who are the leaders, the people who are in charge, especially, laughter is put by the wayside. Enjoyment is put by the wayside. Because the goal is to get things done. I don't have time to enjoy myself. That's one of the most dangerous things you can ever do for yourself, ever. Put by the wayside, especially when things need to get done, when the stress is on. You're trying to push yourself to get to the next level, and there's a deadline. That's when the stress level can get a little too intense. Self-doubt, overwhelm, fear, anger can become very dangerous mindsets. And without you realizing it, enjoying yourself becomes secondary. And with what you're trying to accomplish every day, it has to become primary. Do you know that studies have shown today, this is not my opinion, studies have shown that people who make a conscious choice every day to enjoy themselves during the process of whatever it is they're trying to achieve are more creative, they're more productive, they're able to bounce back a lot faster from life's challenges, and they're able to find solutions to problems a lot quicker. Now, having said that, I would wager any amount of money that most, if not all of the people in this room, when you're writing out your plans and your goals for the future, giving assignments to your team, writing out a list of things that need to be done on any given day, nowhere on those lists do you ever include enjoying yourself. That blows me away. Instead, what we have a tendency to do is that we create these dangerous mindsets and we're not aware that we're doing it. We say things like this to ourselves on an unconscious level, and your unconscious mind runs 95% of your life. And we say things like this: I'll enjoy myself when I achieve the goal. I'll enjoy myself when I get to where I want to go. Right now, there are too many changes taking place in the organization. Too many things are happening. When I get the respect and I get the appreciation and people start doing the damn things I keep telling them to do, that's when I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm not going to do it a minute sooner. I'll show me a thing or two. Do you have any idea what you're doing when you say these things to yourself? Man, you're putting your happiness on hold. You're actually convincing yourself that your happiness is that you have a right to have. Your happiness is dependent upon something that has to take place at some point in the future. That is absolutely insane. It's insane because it can never happen. Happiness will always be eluding you. It will always be steps ahead of you. The point I'm making, and this is such an important point, the time to enjoy yourself is in the now. It's the only time you can enjoy yourself, is in the moment. In the moment of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, whether you're home cleaning the garage, whether you're playing with your kids, you're taking care of the dog, you're taking the dog to the vet, or you're at work trying to kick it up a couple of notches, it is your right to enjoy yourself. And you do that by allowing yourself occasionally to think about what it is that you have. Focus on what's working. Focus on your assets, that there is something within you that can meet any challenge head on. Wake up in the morning knowing that you are going to be confronted with some kind of challenge. That's why we're here. That's why we are here on this planet. But a lot of us wake up thinking, I hope nothing happens. You just got to say to yourself, something could happen today. But you know what? There's something within me that can meet that challenge head on. I'm powerful enough to handle this. I'm not going to let it get to me. We are here on this planet to experience, to learn, to grow, and to become the person we're supposed to become. And how you experience the things that happen to you in your life, the things that you look at as being good or bad, how you experience these things will actually determine what you learn. What you learn determines how you grow. Your growth leads to who and what you become as a person. You just want to become the best person that you can possibly be, regardless of your circumstances. The biggest disease, I believe, that's happening in this country, not just in the workplace, but at home, I believe is unhappiness. And this is for a lot of the people that are unhappy have so much. But that's because they keep putting their happiness on hold. I still do it, and we do it in so many ways. I have to catch myself. I'll be happy when the weekend gets here. I'll be happy when people respect me. I'll be happy when I get more money. I'll be happy when I get the job done. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I get divorced. Okay, that I understand. You know what I'm saying? This is my point, that we just keep saying, I'll be happy when, and the whole time happiness is going, hey, I'm right here. Why don't you take advantage of it? I'm going to tell you a story about the biggest lesson in my life. Really, this is the biggest lesson I ever learned in my life. This is a story of not what can happen to you if you insist on putting your happiness on hold, but what will happen to you if you put your happiness on hold. In 1986, I was headlining Rodney Dangerfield's comedy club every single weekend in 1986. Raise your hand, everybody knows who Rodney Dangerfield is, right? Even if you don't, this story will make sense to you, okay? 1986, every weekend I'm headlining his room. This was when Rodney was at the pinnacle of his career. He was voted one of the top 3 recognizable faces in the country, the #1 comedian in the country. He had 4 HBO specials, 2 hit movies within that 2-year span that were rated a 9 or a 10. He was on The Tonight Show every other week. Folks, you really couldn't get any more popular and famous as he was. And this one Saturday night, I'll never forget it, it was the last show. We had 3 shows on a Saturday. Place is packed. As I'm walking off the stage, I finish my set. Who comes walking through the crowd? Big surprise, Rodney himself. And the crowd went absolutely ballistic. But it was deafening in that room. As soon as they saw him, they're screaming, Rodney, Rodney. And they're all standing up, and he's doing his typical Rodney. You know, he's walking through the audience. Hey, how you doing, baby? All right, kid, all right. Yeah, I love you, all right. And I love the way he talks. I love his jokes, too. You know, he's always coming up with something. Hey, you know, I'll tell you what, the other day, I told my son to take out the garbage. He said, you married her, you take her out. It's his jokes. Anyway, he goes walking through the crowd. He gets up on stage, and he has total command of the audience. Everybody dies down. The audience is quiet. And he does 10 minutes of brand new material for his next HBO special that's coming up. And when he's finished, he thanks the audience for supporting the club. He asks them to give me another big round of applause. He says goodnight, and he goes to walk off, but they wouldn't let him go. The noise got even louder than it was before. Folks, there was a ringing in my ear. Now they're screaming, you're #1. We want more. You're #1. And as he's walking off, they wouldn't let him go. Women are grabbing him. They want his autograph. They're giving him kisses. It took his bodyguard and 2 waiters to get him out of that room. And as all this is going on, I'm standing in the back of the room, and I'm saying to myself, oh, my God, this is what it's like to be a star. This guy's got the world in the palm of his hands. And it wasn't too soon after that that I learned the lesson. Sometimes holding the world in the palm of your hands isn't what's important. What's important are the choices that you make as you're holding it. Because the crowd was gone, the doors were locked, the wait staff was cleaning up the place, and I went over to the bar, as I so often did. Rodney's sitting there. I put my arm around him. I gave him a big kiss on the cheek, and I said, hey, man, how does it feel to be a superstar? He downed a triple scotch, looked at me square in the face, and said, well, I'll tell you, Stevie, it sucks. And I was waiting for the punchline. And I realized there wasn't one. He went on a verbal tantrum on how the entertainment industry ruined his life and how he should have made it 30, 40 years ago when he was younger, when he could have enjoyed himself. I didn't know what to say. I stopped, I thought, I tried to give him a pep talk, and I said, are you kidding me? Didn't you hear that crowd? They absolutely love you. Most comedians your age, they fizzle out. People don't even know who they are. He was not even 60 years old at the time. I said, but they don't even know who you are. Man, you have 4 HBO specials. You have another one coming up. You have 2 hit movies. You're responsible for launching the careers of so many young comics. You're on The Tonight Show every other night, every other week. They love you. He downed another triple scotch, looked at me square in the face again. He said, I'll tell you what, Stevie, I don't expect you to understand. All I know is that I dedicated my entire life to this business, and I sacrificed my happiness, my family's happiness, my children's happiness for this moment to come. He goes, it came too late. And now that I have it, I still can't enjoy it. It was the biggest lesson I ever learned in my entire life. And folks, here's why. Here's a guy that should have been living his dream, don't you think? But instead, he was living a nightmare. All because years ago, unconsciously, without him even realizing it, he created a belief system, a mindset that signified, I won't and I can't be happy until I reach a certain status in life. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you keep telling your brain something over in your subconscious, over and over again, it will answer you, okay, your wish is my command. I could wait 40 years for you to be happy. And here's the irony. Even though he did have everything he wanted, and probably way more than he ever even dreamed, he still couldn't enjoy it. And folks, and here's why. If your journey towards your goal, regardless of what it may be, and as leaders, you need to know this. If your journey towards your goal is polluted with any kind of negative energy at all, be it fear, anger, resentment, jealousy, envy, self-doubt, overwhelm, you're only going to create the same result when the goal is achieved, because that stuff comes with you. It's a part of who you are. Now, here's the good news, and here's my point. I don't care how old you are in this room right now. You can make that choice. You can make that shift right now to tell yourself, and sometimes you have to work at it, to enjoy yourself during the process, whatever the goal may be, whether it's raising your family, whether it's somewhere you need to go in your career. Promise yourself you're going to enjoy yourself during the process. Find things that will help you to catapult into that mindset. And if you do, you will have such a profound appreciation when the goal is finally achieved. And even if you didn't achieve it, at least you could say, well, I enjoyed the process. Does that make sense? And it's all based on choices. Your entire life is based on the choices that you make, and for every choice you make, there is always, always a consequence. And this is where humor can help you tremendously, especially during the tough times. I know some of you might be going through some tough times in your family. What a wonderful gift to give to your children, knowing that, yeah, the family's going through a tough time, but there's always room for laughter because it helps to bounce back. It's the greatest bounce back factor. That's what laughter is. Unfortunately, some people just don't have a sense of humor. State troopers don't have a sense of humor. Here's a list of things, in fact, you should never ever say to a state trooper. Can I see your license and registration, please? Sure. You want to hold my beer? Didn't you see that stop sign? Yep, saw it. Just didn't see you hiding behind it. Are you drinking? I don't know. Are you buying? Well, wise guy, it looks like I'm going to have to give you a ticket for speeding. Well, could you make it quick? Because it's pretty apparent I'm in a hurry. You know what I always wanted to do? Never did this, but I will do this someday. I promise you, before I leave this planet. I always wanted to get pulled over by a cop, roll down the window and go, "You're not going to check the trunk, are you?" Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here, and then I'm going to end with one more story. Thank you. I want to talk about the biggest inspiration of my life. No one has taught me more on how to be a leader, a true leader, more than he has. No one has taught me more on how to embrace change more than he has. No one has taught me more how to enjoy myself during the rebuilding process of such a traumatic thing that can happen to somebody more than he has. In fact, those very strategies that I gave you here today, the ones I told you that I used to turn my life around, are the strategies that he used to turn his life around. I'm talking about my brother Michael, who was 100% disabled as a result of the Vietnam War. He's the only man in medical history that ever survived that kind of wound. He's in medical journals as someone who beat the odds. He is in books, medical books, as someone who beat the odds. Shouldn't be here today. 21 feet of his small intestine were either taken out or blown out on the battlefield. His kidneys were damaged and other internal organs as well. The only reason why I'm being graphic here is that I really want you to understand what he went through so you could appreciate how he beat this. I'll never forget the first time that I saw him in St. Albans Naval Hospital in Queens, New York. If it hadn't have been for my mom and dad in the room with him, I never would have known it was him. He went from 168 pounds to 88 pounds. And in the room with my mom and dad were his two friends from high school and his Marine Corps buddy whom he had gotten wounded with. And the whole day, my brother was going in and out of consciousness. And it was at the end of the day when two doctors walked in and told my mom and dad, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like he's going to make it, not even, through the day. I'll never forget the look on my mom and dad's face. His two friends from high school walked out of the room, and his Marine Corps buddy was hitting the wall saying, why? And as all this was going on, I remember staring at my brother and wondering if this is going to be the last time that I'm ever going to see him. I was only 17 years old at the time. I remember this as if it were yesterday. And I'm noticing something very strange is happening. Now, he's supposed to be unconscious, but I'm looking at him. In his hand, is slowly starting to rise from his side. And I'm beckoning to my mom and dad. I'm saying, look what he's doing. And he clenched his fist, and up came his middle finger. Right then and there, I knew he was going to try and make it because his humor being was glowing at that very moment. That was the answer, folks, he gave to that doctor's diagnosis. And that was the answer he gave all the doctors every time they told him he couldn't and wouldn't be able to do something. First, they said he wouldn't live long. They're wrong because he's alive today. Then they said that he would have to eat special foods like liquids and baby food and ground up vegetables and fruits because 1 foot of small intestine, they didn't think that his body would be able to sustain anything of any substance. You want to know what my brother's attitude was to that? He goes, hey, don't you ever tell me what I'm going to eat, all right? I'm going to eat a bowl of meatballs and a couple of things of pasta, even if I have to shit on the toilet while I'm eating it. And you laugh. He lived long enough where his small intestine stretched a bit, and he was able to compensate and use the rest of his digestive system for what his small intestine could no longer do. To this day, doctors say it's a miracle. That's it. That's his nickname, by the way. When he goes for checkups, they call him Miracle Man. Here comes the Miracle Man. Here's my point, folks. We all have opportunities to perform our own miracles when life is throwing stuff at us. And if you think about it, sometimes in life, a lot of times in life, what is a miracle? Nothing but a shift in perception. It's taking something that looks totally impossible to achieve, then all of a sudden a shift in your way of thinking, a shift in your attitude, and a shift in your belief system can turn things around. My brother incorporated the belief system that was second to none. And where did that belief system come from? The thoughts that he kept programming in his brain, the words he kept speaking to himself. First of all, he never said, why me? Isn't that what we have a tendency to do when we're at work or in our lives, something throws something at you? What's the first thing you say? Why now? Why me? Why does this happen? As soon as you do that, you are opening the door to the negative zone. And you're allowing more like thoughts and more like words to come in to solidify that belief system that will make you feel worse, that will give you the attitude you don't need to get out of that. You follow me on that? Instead of saying, why me, he said, this is me. This is what happened. I can't deny this. Why not me? I was chosen. This is it. This is what happened. Then he would say, what do I have to do to turn this around? Who can I go to that can help me with this? What needs to be done for me to live the life that I want to live? And he's feeding his brain with a totally different type of stuff where the answers eventually came. He never focused on what was missing, which is what we have a tendency to do. We always do that. You always focus on what you don't have. He focused on what he had. The turning point, and I'm not kidding you, this was the turning point when he was in that hospital, is when the doctors ordered him not to eat solid foods at all. He wasn't allowed to. But every now and then when the doctors weren't there, my brother and I, my younger brother, would give him slices of pizza, meatball heroes, you name it, we gave it to him. And one day the doctors walked in, and they looked at him and they said, I can't believe this. And they were so upset and they were yelling at him. We're trying to help you. Don't you understand? You can't eat anything of substance. This is ridiculous. 21 feet of your intestine. And in the middle of that sentence, my brother takes the meatball hero. He throws it as hard as he could at the doctor, hits him square in the chest. Meatballs and sauce are going all over him. And my brother starts yelling. Man, he was angry. He said, you want to know what your problem is? You guys keep focusing on the 21 feet that I no longer have, and I'm trying to focus on the 1 foot I have left. He goes, from now on, we're doing it my way. 3 days later, one of those doctors came back. I was sitting next to my brother. The doctor sat at the head of the bed, touched my brother on the leg, and he said, you know what, man, you might have something there. We're going to try it your way for a while. But the thing that helped him to survive more than anything else, and if he were here, he would tell you this. I don't know how he did this, but somehow he knew the importance of making a conscious choice to enjoy himself during the rebuilding process and to find the laughter in between and even during the tough times. I'm not saying it was easy for him, but that's what he did. And that's what separated him from everyone else that was in that hospital. And I am not passing judgment, but I was there almost every day. And I know these guys, a lot of them had a different attitude, and I don't blame them. But they were saying things like this to themselves. How can I enjoy myself and find the laughter the way I am? Or I'll enjoy myself and I'll laugh if and when I get better. My brother said, no, I'm going to start that process now. I'm going to enjoy myself now, and I'm going to find the laughter now. As a result, it helped him to get better. You see the difference in the mindset? To make a long story short, folks, he was in a hospital for 8 months. When he got out, he was 95 pounds. He said he was going to go to college. We didn't think he'd be able to do it because he wasn't Mr. Whiz Kid in high school at all. He got suspended a few times. We all did. We got in trouble a lot. But when he went to college, they told him you have to go at night to prove yourself. He did. He went at night. He got straight A's. They let him go full time. He graduated with degrees in psychology, administration, history, and education. When he got out, he went back down to the same school that he graduated from and became a history teacher. From there, he became an attendance officer. From there, he became assistant principal. From there, he became principal. And when he wanted to retire, they wouldn't let him. They made him superintendent of the entire school system. Now, he's been retired now for 10 years now. And I don't know of anyone that lives the lifestyle that he does. He owns 3 different houses. He travels all over the place. And he's the biggest inspiration in my life. I know some of you are looking at me right now and you're saying, gee, Steve, that's a great story, but what does that have to do with us? Nothing. I just had some time to kill, and I thought maybe... It has everything to do with you, folks, because here's the moral of the story. It's not what happens to you that determines how successful or how happy you're going to be. It's what you do about what happens. It's what makes the difference. It's the choices you make that will make the difference. It's the thoughts that you have about any challenge in your life that will formulate the belief that you have about it that will make the difference. Will you challenge yourself to enjoy yourself during the process of whatever it is you're trying to achieve? And will you dare to find the laughter in between and even during the tough times? I gave you some of my common sense success strategies. I can only give them to you. It's up to you as to whether you use them or not. Before I leave, I want to give you 3 things for you to do. Every morning when you wake up, find something to be grateful for. Something that'll bring you joy, something that'll lift your spirits, that will give you confidence. If you notice that you're shifting into all the stuff that has to be done, say to yourself, no, 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 no. I can't focus on that. I got to focus on who I have to be to get it done. Try it. Tell yourself you're going to enjoy the day. Make a choice to do it. See the laughter around you. Second thing that I want you to do is to tell yourself, today's an opportunity for me to make a difference in someone's life. As leaders, you have a better opportunity than most people, because you have more of an advantage than other people. Make a difference in someone's life. If you look at it from that perspective, life becomes really pretty cool. Nothing can juice you more to get through the day when you did something for someone. Even something like being online at Starbucks, you're talking to somebody, buy them a coffee. Tell somebody that they look nice. Give someone a compliment. Or if you're walking through town someday and you see a parking summons on someone's windshield, go up to that car, rip that sucker up and throw it away. You know? Why should that person have to pay for that? That's what I'm saying. When you do something for someone genuinely, man, it lifts your spirits. And one of the coolest things that ever happened to me years ago when the Gulf War was going on, this is in the early 90s, I know you remember that. I was at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and there were 3 Marines waiting in the gate area going to New York. And I overheard them talking. When I went up and talked to them for a while, told them that my brother was a Marine and all that, and they were going to Iraq after New York. And the ticket agent came up to them and said, guys, I'm sorry, I tried to get you an upgrade to first class, but I couldn't do it. All the seats are taken. And they said, oh, man, we didn't expect that. Thank you, thank you. When I heard that, I was sitting in first class, and I went up to a couple of the people that were sitting in first class. I said, hey, I'm giving up my first class seat. Anybody else? I need 2 more volunteers. These guys are going to Iraq. They're going to New York for a while, and then they're going to Iraq. Immediately, a woman and a guy said, we gave up our seats. You should have seen the look on these Marines' faces. But you want to know what really blew us away? You should have seen the looks on our faces when we deplaned and we saw all 3 Marines standing at attention saluting us. I'll remember that for a long, long time. I'll be honest, had I known that sitting in coach, I would have been sitting next to someone that smelled like sauerkraut, I might not have done it. Third thing that I want you to do is I want you to find the laughter within you and around you. It is there. It's everywhere. Try it. Again, what a wonderful gift to give your children. If they know that there are problems in the household, but there's always room for laughter, that's a wonderful gift. Folks, you were absolutely a wonderful group. I want to thank everyone who was involved in having me here. I love your energy. I hope, more than anything else, I hope I was able to help. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. I'll see you out there. Thank you.